today we will learn how to compare fractions and mixed numbers. Now, if we want to compare mixed numbers, that means if we want to find out which mixed number is bigger, and we have two mixed numbers, 2 and 1/3 and 3 and 1/5. Now, in this case, we really don't need to do any more work. What will govern is that the whole part of the mixed numbers, 2 is smaller than 3. That means this whole mixed number has to be smaller than the other one. But make sure when you do that, these parts, the fractional parts, are in the proper form. In other words, the numerator is smaller than the denominator, 1/3, 1/5. Now, so it is fairly easy to compare mixed numbers. So let's say if I want to compare a mixed number and a fraction. Let's say I have 1/5 and I want to compare 2 and 4/7. Now you have to think of a fraction as there is no whole number part. So that whole number part is like this transparent 0 in there. So you have 0 here and you have 2 here. So automatically this 2 makes this number, oops, this 2 makes this number bigger. So 1/5 is smaller than 2 and 4/7. What happens when the problem is not that easy, but I have a fraction like this? These may be kind of, pretty easy that you can do it in your heads. But let's learn how to do it principle-wise, and then we're going to try to do harder problems. So what you do when you have unlike fractions is that you try to find the LCM. And in this case, the LCM of 4 and 5 is simply 20. So what you try to do, just like you were doing with adding and subtracting, you try to match the denominators. You multiply by 5. You multiply by 4. And this means I have 5 over 20. And here you have 12 over 20. So if I take 5 pieces out of 20 versus 12 pieces out of 20, which one is bigger? So you know that this fraction is going to be bigger, 12 over 20, because you're taking 12 pieces out of 20 versus 5 pieces out of 20. So one good way of doing it is to match the denominators. And once the denominators are matched, you can say, okay, well, this piece is smaller than this one, therefore this whole fraction is smaller than the other one. Let's do another example with a little bit more complex numbers. Let's say I have 3 over 11 and 11 over 12. Well, in this case, I'm not quite sure. I have a feeling, but I really cannot just say it. So I need to go and I need to find my LCM. In this case, the LCM is simply 11 times 12, which happens to be 132. So what you do is you multiply the top and bottom by 12 in the first case, and top and bottom by 11. And in this case, you're going to get 3 times 12, that's 36, and 11 times 12, that's 132. Let's get rid of that. 36 over 132. And in this case, I have 11 times 11, which is 121 over 132. So which numerator is bigger? This one is bigger. Therefore, this fraction is simply bigger. You can do the same thing by matching the numerators. Let's review that procedure. Let's say I have 2/3 and I want to compare it with 4/5. You can actually do the same thing by matching the numerators instead of denominators. Now, how do 2 and 4 match? In other words, what is the LCM of 2 and 4? So let's try to match the numerators. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to multiply the top and bottom by 2 and this top and bottom by 1. In this case, I'm going to get 4/6. In this case, I will get 4/5. So let's look how this works. I have 4 pieces I'm dividing into 6 pieces. I have 4 pieces I'm dividing into 5 pieces. Which pieces are going to be bigger? So if I divide it into 6 pieces, I'll get smaller pieces. So therefore, 4/6 is smaller than 4/5. So you may choose to either match the numerator or the denominator and then actually arrive to the same conclusion. So one example might be, they may ask you to put it in order from smallest to largest, for example. Then what you need to do is you need to find the LCM of all the fractions involved and try to match either the numerators or the denominators. Okay, so let's try an example. 2/3, 3/4, 4/5. So which one is smaller, which one is the biggest? Now, what you can do, let's try to match denominators. So, what is the LCM of 3, 4, and 5? So remember how you do the LCM. 3 is prime, 4 is not prime, it's 2 and 2, 5 is prime. So the LCM is going to be 3 times 4 times 5. 4 times 5 is 20, times 3, that's 60. So in other words, the LCM of 3 and 4 and 5 is 60. So what I need to do, I'm going to match the denominators. How do I get from 3 to 60? I multiply by 20. How do I get from 4 to 60? I multiply by 15. How do I get from 5 to 60? I multiply by 12. So let's rewrite all the fractions. 2 times 20, that's 40. 3 times 15, that's 45. 4 times 12, that's 48. Now I look at the numerators. Which one is the smallest numerator? 40. And which one is the largest numerator? 48. Therefore, 2/3 is smaller than 3/4, which is smaller than 4/5.